Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello everyone and welcome to your English class. In our lesson today, we will continue with our second unit, which is titled Take My Advice. Our lesson today is the form, meaning and function lesson in your books, page 28 and 29. All you need for the lesson today is your books, page 28 and 29, a sheet of paper and a pen to take down your notes. So let's get started. We'll start with the homework from the writing lesson. It is actually in your workbooks, page 94. Here, imagine that a friend has written to you for advice about a problem that he or she has at school or work. Complete the chart with the information required. Use it to write a reply to your friend. What problem are we going to talk about? We will speak about the idea of gaining weight. Someone who gained weight, he can't exercise or go to the gym. So we will come up with the general information or issue, problem, then we will break it down into two smaller problems. At the beginning, he would say, I have gained so much weight lately. Also, the other one, I feel terrible when looking at them he feels terrible when looking at himself in the mirror. So, gained weight and didn't like how he looks like. What advice can we give him? I would say, you ought to watch your diet. Watch your diet means to eat healthy, not to eat junk food. Also, you might work out. It's a suggestion that you work out or go to the gym. Let's say underneath that problem, we could say that he might say, I crave junk food. When I see junk food, I can't resist it. I want to eat junk food. Also, the other one, I don't like healthy food. When I see the healthy food, I don't feel like eating it. It is bland for me, tasteless. I would say that you should eat healthy. You should watch your diet. And also, I would say, you ought to give up junk food gradually. Do not cut it out. No, you will cut it out gradually. At the beginning, only the fried food. Then you will go to, no, I won't drink soda gradually, a step by step. Another problem, based on the idea of gaining weight, I feel tired when I exercise. Whenever I go exercising, I feel like very tired. I can't continue running or walking or working out at the gym. Also, I can't play football. When I play football, I feel like I am too tired to continue. What advice we can give? We can tell, you might start with walking, just walking. Don't run, don't go to the gym. Start gradually. Take up a sport. Also, we can say, you ought to see a doctor. If you continue feeling tired, just go and see a doctor. You might have any other problems. So we're having a general problem and we have cut it down or break it down into details. Gaining weight, the idea of fast food, and the idea of working out or exercising. Okay, for our lesson today, by the end of today's lesson, you will be able to use how, many and much correctly. We will compare them. You'll be also use the quantity expressions correctly. What are the quantity expressions and how can we use them? And you will be able to identify words connected with medicine and clauses with when. Let's get started with these. Here we're having two friends who are having a conversation together. Let's listen to them. One will ask, how do you feel when you exercise? Tell me about your feeling. I feel tired and dizzy. Then he will say, what do you do when you feel dizzy or tired? I usually drink lemonade, lemon juice. Then, how much water do you drink? Not much, a few glasses. Then he would say, how many hours do you sleep? He would say, a little, not many hours. So we're having someone is asking about the daily routine or the health, about his health, and the other one is answering. We'll take these speeches one by one and try to analyze them for the grammatical rules. At the beginning he said, how much water do you drink? Not much, a few glasses. How many hours do you sleep? A little, not many hours. So in here, we're speaking about the count and the non-count nouns. Count nouns, the things that you can give numbers to. Maybe students, 1 student, 2 students, 3 students. However, other things may be air. It is a gas. You can say 1 air, 2 airs. No, you can't use it. Maybe water. We can't give it a number. So it is mass. You can't give it a number. You can count the glasses, however, not the water itself, the material. So, count noun, just like apple. Let's take apple as our example. 1 apple, 2 apples, 3 apples. So, with count nouns, you can give a singular and a plural form. We're having singular, only 1 apple. And if you want to change it into plural, we're going to add s, usually the s. So 2 apples, 3, 5 apples. S, the s. Also, for count nouns, you can use a and an. If it is 1, you can use a and an. A chair, a student, an apple, an airplane, with the vowels and the consonants. And if you want to show that it is more than 1, you can add the s as we have highlighted previously. Also, with count nouns, you can use the definite article the apple and the apples. So, for count nouns, you can come up with a singular and plural. You can use the a and an, the indefinite articles, and you can use the definite article the. How about non-count nouns, uncountable nouns? Non-count nouns are just like anything that is mass, air, water. We can speak about hair, money. It is an abstract noun. So we'll speak about water. With the non-count nouns, it has only 1 form. You can never say a, an, or you will say, maybe you will add s. So it is only water, no waters or a water. Also, because it has only 1 form, no singular or plural, we can't use the indefinite articles a or an. So it's water, not a or an. Not waters and not a water. However, for the definite article, you can use the. So the definite article, you can use it with the count and the non-count noun. It works both ways, the count and the non-count nouns. So these are the differences between the count and the non-count noun. The only similar that we're having in here, which is the use of the definite article the. Okay. So for the count and the non-count nouns, we can use some of the quantity expressions. What do we mean by quantity expressions? It is like words, expressions that we can tell whether I am having a lot or I am having less than I want. I will ask you, how much water do you drink? So I want to know about the glasses, about the amount, whether it is at the top or at the bottom. So it's not only water, I want to know how much. So what quantity expressions can we use with the count and the non-count nouns? You can use, for the count nouns are just like apples and those like money, let's say. So you can use many, the expression for if you can't count them, you will say you will use many. How many and many. For the question, how many. And for the other one, for the sentences, you will use many. However, for the non-count, you can use not many. This time, we will use much. Mass. You will use much. Also, if we don't have enough, it's not enough, less than I need, I will say that I have a few apples. I want to make an apple pie. However, we're having only one, it is a few. I can't make an apple pie, I need more. I need many apples. So I have a few, not enough, because it is a countable noun. How about non-count nouns? Maybe money. I need to buy a car. However, I don't have enough money. I will say it is a little money. I have a little money, only 1,000. I need maybe 50,000. So a few and a little. If you want to tell that you're having lots of, so whether it's a countable or an account or an uncount noun, you can use a lot of or lots of. So I have plenty, many or much. Okay, so these they are. On this Venn diagram, we can divide these expressions for the count and the uncount nouns. This side, the left side is for the count noun, and the right side is for the non-count nouns. For the count nouns, I would use many, how many, and for the non-count, you can use much. However, here you will use a few if it's not enough, and there you will use a little, and for both of them, you can use a lot and lots of for both the count and the non-count noun. This is going to help you if you want to use them whether with the count or the non-count nouns. So here in your books, page 28, we're going to read these examples. Number 1, how much fruit do you usually eat? Notice that we have used how much because we're having fruit, which is an uncount noun. Then, I eat a lot of or lots of fruit. Fruit is an uncount noun. You can use lots of or a lot of. How many vegetables do you eat? Notice vegetables is a count noun. That's why I have used many. How many vegetables do you eat? The answer, I eat a few vegetables, a few, or I don't eat many vegetables. And you can say a lot or lots of vegetables. Also, we will say, how much salt do you eat? Salt is an uncountable noun, non-count noun. We will use how much with it. The answer will be, I eat a little, non-count, and I don't eat much salt. So you will use much and a little, and here the count nouns you will use a few, and you can use many and how many. Okay, let's try to fill out this table for the count and the non-count nouns, and in case we are forming a question. How many? Many, or how many we use it with a count noun. So how many students are in the classroom, and if it is a question. How about much? How much money do you have or you can afford? We will say it is used with an uncount noun in a question form. How about many? Many, we use it with count nouns, and usually in negative sentences. And much, we use it with non-count nouns. How about a few and a little? Not enough. A few will be used with count nouns and a little with non-count nouns. A lot of, lots of, will be used with both the count and the non-count nouns. So you can use a lot of sugar and a lot of students, a lot of cars. Okay, these are for the count and the non-count nouns and the quantity expressions. Now in your books, page 28, exercise A. Complete the gaps with a quantity expressions. Add your own ideas. We're having here a conversation between Ahmed and his doctor. So Ahmed, what is the problem? I'm not feeling very well. I have a stomachache and I feel dizzy, a pain in his stomach. Doctor, I see. You don't have a temperature. What is your diet like? Well, I eat ice cream every day and I don't eat fruit. Here, we're having fruit is actually a non-count noun, so we can use much. I don't eat much fruit or vegetables. We're having many vegetables. This is a countable noun and this is an uncount noun. I eat carrots once or twice a week. So a few, because we're having an a here and it is a count noun, we will use few. A few carrots once or twice a week. The doctor, how much water do you drink? Notice here how much, because we're having water, then uncount noun. I don't like water. I prefer fizzy drinks. I drink lemonade. Lemonade is a drink, so a lot of. And you can say much of lemonade. That's my favorite. The doctor will say, I see. How hours? We're counting the number of hours. How many hours do you exercise every week? I don't spend, we're having here, much time at the gym. Notice hours, count noun, and time is non-count noun. So you have to focus on what you're using, whether it's a countable or non-countable, like time and notes or coins. We're having money, we're having time and hours, money, and the other one which is coins or notes. Okay, these they are. Now in your books, page 95, we're having exercise K. Complete the conversation here with the quantity expressions: much, many, lot, lots of, few, or little. A conversation between Scott and Ahmed. Hi Ahmed, you look well. I think you are thinner than you were. We're speaking about weight. So you are much thinner than you were. Have you lost a weight? Weight is an uncount noun. So a little weight, because here we're having an uncount noun. Hi Scott, yes, I did lose a kilos. Kilos is the count noun of weight. So a few kilos. Notice that this one is a count noun. This year, were you on a diet? You were eating of junk food. What do we say in here? Junk food is an uncount noun. We will say a lot of. We have an a and of, and this one is an uncount noun. I am not really on a diet, but I am more careful about what I eat, and I feel healthier. Speaking about health, much healthier these days. I don't eat junk food, non-count noun, much junk food now, and I eat a fruit now too. We're having fruit is non-count. We will use a lot of fruit now too. So check the noun that comes afterwards, whether it's a count or an uncount noun, and you can decide based on that. Let's go back in here. Now you will work with your partner and ask and answer. Just imagine that someone is asking you, then you will come up with the answer. Here, how much do you exercise? We hear you speaking about the time. How much do you exercise? For me, I will say, I exercise 2 days a week. How about you? How much water do you drink? I drink 2 glass, or let's say 5 glasses every day, or I don't drink much water. Then we will come, do you eat junk food? This is a yes/no question. Yes, I eat junk food, but it's not that much, not too much junk food. Then we will have, how much fruit do you eat? I eat a lot of fruits every day, or I eat a share or 2 shares every day. You can come up with your own answer based on your daily routine or diet. Okay, now back to our friends in here who are having the conversation, and we will read their conversation again. How do you feel when you exercise? Speaking about feelings, how do you feel when you exercise? I feel tired and dizzy. Look, tired and dizzy, these are adjectives. Also, what do you do when you feel dizzy? Now you felt dizzy. What would you do later on? When I feel dizzy, I usually drink lemonade. the reaction, my reaction is to drink lemonade. We'll focus on these, which are how do you feel when and what do you do when. We're having when, feeling, and we're having as well action. Okay, so how do you feel when? Then we will have how do you feel when you exercise. So the action is exercise, and I want to know about your feeling. The answer is I feel great, I feel better. What do we call great and better? These are actually adjectives describing a noun, describing you, yourself, your feeling. I feel good, I feel well, I feel great or fine. So after the answer for how do you feel is always an adjective. How do you feel when you exercise? I feel tired. How do you feel when you get a full mark? I feel happy. How do you feel when you drink too much soda? I feel sick. And how do you feel when you exercise? I feel great, fine. Come up with any adjective that describes how you feel. The other one is about what do you do when? What do you do when you feel tired, when you feel happy, or do something? What do you do when you feel tired? I feel tired. My reaction should be here, I relax. So the answer will be an action. I relax, I take a break, I see a doctor. So an action, it will be a verb. Verbs like take a break, get some vitamins, or relax, ask for help. Always an action, which is the verb. Grammatically speaking, it's a verb. Okay. So how do you feel when you, these are in your books, page 29. How do you feel when you exercise? Let's imagine that you went to the gym and you worked out. How do you feel? Describe your feelings. Maybe you will say, I feel great. I feel tired. I feel fine. I feel energetic. How do you feel when you eat a lot? You are full and you ate more. You overate. How would you feel? I feel sleepy. I feel sick. You can give any description for how you feel. Also, how do you feel when you travel by the plane? You're going to spend a holiday. How would you feel on the airplane? Maybe you will say, I feel excited. I feel anxious. I feel worried. Then, how do you feel when you don't sleep well? You stayed up late last night, and today how would you feel? I feel tired, sleepy. I feel maybe bad, terrible. It will be a bad feeling. So how do you feel? The answer will be an adjective. Okay, now in your books, page 29, exercise D, now you will ask and answer questions with how do you feel when? How do you feel when? We will come up with the questions, then you will choose one of these adjectives, afraid, bored, the ones in your books, page 29. Strong, wonderful, choose any one of these based on your how you feel yourself. How do you feel when you have a headache, a pain in your head? You're having a pain, how would you feel? For me, I will say, I would feel terrible. I would feel sick, tired, maybe sad, or you will say, I will feel bad. It is the feeling. Then, how do you feel when you need to make an excuse? You need to go outside the classroom, or you need to make an excuse. You came late to work or to class, and you need to make an excuse to your teacher or to a friend. How does it feel? It feels like I feel nervous. I don't like to give excuses. Also, how do you feel when you travel by the airplane? I will feel excited. How about how do you feel when you need to say goodbye to a friend? It's the last day in the semester and you will say goodbye. I will feel sad. Let's do it the other way around. What do you do when you have a toothache, a pain in your teeth? I will take a painkiller. I will take something that will take out, I will see the dentist. How would you feel when you have rash, itchy skin? I will use a cream. And how would you feel when you have the flu? I will stay in bed. And what would you do when you feel stressed and anxious? I am stressed, too much to do. I will relax. Okay? Now in your book's page 96, in here, you will write a possible solution for each one of these problems. Now imagine that you're having a sore throat, a pain in your throat. You're coughing. So you will drink a warm drink, or tea or milk. Rash, itchy skin. Use skin cream. How about the flu? You will stay in bed. Then, if you are stressed, what would you do? I will relax. How about a toothache, a pain in your teeth? I will take painkillers, see a dentist. How about if you are feeling tired? I will relax. You can relax, you can stay in bed, or do any one of these. For your homework, in your books, page 96, exercise M. It's about how do you feel when, and what would you do, what do you do when you feel so. Page 96, exercise M. Okay, I guess that is it for the lesson today, and thank you so much for your time.